Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic has a lot of mods, from reskins to new items to total conversions, but my favorites since I was a young lad in middle school first modding this game on my Amazon Kindle have been the recruitment mods that allow this beautiful gameplay of Discount Yoda shooting a laser machine gun at some bug monsters. Mods that let you play with companions different than those you're stuck with in the vanilla game. Sorry, Karth, Shasa is my new best friend now. But not all of them are created equal, so today I'm going to be reviewing and ranking on a tier list every single new companion mod I could find from worst to best. Spoilers for both KOTOR and KOTOR 2. I'm not holding anything back story-wise, so if you haven't played the games yet, click off, play them, they're some of the greats, and let's get started. The tiers aren't anything special. S tier means they're nearly perfect with very few negative notes at all. A means they're really good, but perhaps there's something holding them back from true greatness. B are for the perfectly fine mods that serve as fun additions but not much more. C's for the completely serviceable mods that don't do much but at least they technically work. And D is for the legitimately bad ones that either don't work or even soft lock the game. There's not really such thing as an ideally perfect companion mod for KOTOR, as 99.9% of them forcibly kick out and or prevent you from recruiting a previous companion, usually Juhani or T3M4, since neither are too important to the story past their introductions. On top of the replaced characters butting in dialogue and or cutscene dialogue remaining unchanged, but there are a few exceptions that will get bonus points for doing so. Some more bonus points include new or unique character portraits, actual dialogue as a companion, voiced or at least audible dialogue, a unique inclusion during the Leviathan attack, and the Rakatan Temple if the companion is replacing Juhani. Or Jolie, I guess, but none of them here do, so. Many of the companions on this list are pre-existing characters in the game, like Uthar, Wynn, or Bendak Starkiller, simply being made recruitable with little additions, but some add a lot of content and or are the modder's original characters. The new companions in the Brotherhood of Shadow mod and Calo Nord in the Zerka Commando mod will not be counted in this list, as not just are they temporary, but are less the focus of said mods rather than the overall story overhauls those mods provide. If we were, though, Calo Nord is C, serviceable, I guess, and the Brotherhood of Shadow mod is S tier, of course. Now, I wrote all this before actually using any of these mods, so let's see if any of these can meet these expectations. Revan's Choice Endar Spire by Darth Jebus05 is actually a beta for a more expansive mod that originally was planned to have several companions and added story content, but given how long it's been since this beta's release, I doubt it'll ever see the light of day in its entirety. As it is now, though, it just adds a new Dark Aligned Jedi named Rain, who is voiced in his introduction on the Endar Spire but remains silent afterwards. He's a Jedi Guardian whose initial build is heavily skewed towards lightsaber combat rather than force powers, and he'll serve as essentially a free Jedi companion to go through Terrace with long before you get Bastila. He actually comes with Juhani's unique camouflage ability. A lot of companions that replace Juhani come with this, so you could even just consider him an early game Juhani. He shares the same appearance as one of the player character models, as well as the same portrait, which isn't very creative, but again, this mod is supposed to be a beta. This is a problem with several companion mods, especially the ones that replace Juhani. So I won't mention it again in the future for future ones, but it's where every time you enter the Ebon Hawk, a new clone of the companion appears, to where if you went in the Ebon Hawk like hundreds of times, you could potentially have a ship completely stuffed with him, and I think that is quite comedic indeed. It's not a huge deal on normal playthroughs, but I can see this bug being more annoying than funny for some people with these recruitment mods. He cannot be used to rescue the team on the Leviathan, and can't do it in place of Juhani due to it being impossible to override Juhani as a companion with Rain due to how much earlier than her he is recruited. Same thing with the Rakatan Temple. Nothing. It's a shame the mod was left as it is. Just from the little dialogue he has on the Endor Spire, it seems like he had some real potential, but as it is right now, C tier. LD29 Recruitment mod by Darth Leomar, also known as Darth Betrayal, adds a new original droid companion named LD29. His model and animations, even when you switch his weapons, are all from the base game War Droid, but he is colored to be more bronze. He can be recruited as soon as you arrive on Dantooine by talking to this bald Republic guy, where you can actually choose whether to have him replace either Juhani or T3. LD has little dialogue and it's all muted, but he does have a unique ability to create an unlimited amount of weaker war droids. They suck, like they'll die in one hit from Cath Hounds, but still it's something unique that sets him apart from everyone else on this list. Side note, I like to make one on the Ebon Hawk so I can have a little buddy to follow me around whenever I'm on the ship. His class is combat droid like HK-47, and his starting stats and feats are very interesting to say the least. 20 strength is definitely a choice, considering droids can't use melee weapons. LD can be used to rescue the party on the Leviathan when he replaces T3M4. If he replaces Juhani, I'm just going to assume it won't show up, similarly to Rain if Juhani is dead, and he'll be treated like Juhani if you recruited her first and had him override her. But I'm not going to replay the whole game again for like the 10th time for this video with him, just to see. Same thing with Juhani's part at the Rakatan Temple. However, the Leviathan part is just as T3, as in he'll speak, characters will speak of him, and his whole rescue will be done as if he is T3. Overall, LD is a fun companion with a technically unique character model and a very unique ability to create war droids. B tier. Hey, remember this slime ball? Mission's brother Griff? Yeah, guess what? You can be stuck with him permanently if you want with Recruit Griff by Jedi Archivist. So let's get something big out of the way. This mod is very broken, as in you cannot recruit him nor finish the base game quest if you do not free him from the Sand People Enclave with Mission in your party, as their meeting will be bugged and not trigger at the spaceport if she is not with you. This was a really annoying bug I ran into that made me restart the entirety of Tatooine. He's recruited once you finish his quest by giving him a Tat Gland and 200 credits, and replaces Zalbar in your party, so be sure you complete Big Z's storyline on Kashyyyk if you want to avoid any bugs or quest softlocks due to the companion overlap. And while I'm at it, the same thing goes for all these mods and the companions they replace. Griff is bad, like really, really bad. First off, he cannot use any weapon type other than heavy weapons, and that's only if you give him the required feat. And he can't equip armor, something you can't remedy with his feats. He can use different weapon types if you give him equipment that gives him the feats required to, like implants, but that's it. His attributes are weird, and giving him clothing makes his fingers orange, but he has a character portrait, so that's pretty cool. He also does have some unvoiced dialogue about him making Teresian ale and Mission being mad at him, but it's nothing special. During the Leviathan attack, he's just treated as Zalbar, and similarly to Big Z, cannot be used to rescue the crew. Same thing on the Rakatan planet and the Starforge. He'll even kill Mission and betray you if you're dark side with the same Wookiee growls as Big Z. Overall, when it's all said and done, there's really no point in recruiting Griff, especially over Zalbar. C tier. BK2's Recruitable Luo by BK2 Modder is one of only 2 Rakatan companion mods. The other one we'll quickly go through right after this one, as there's not a whole lot to say about it. Players may recognize Luo as the very Force-curious Black Rakata guarding the entrance of their base, that in the base game you can even promise to come back and train in the ways of the Force. This mod is broken. It just does not work. There's supposed to be 2 ways to recruit Luo. One by having him replace Bastila before you kill the Elders, and one after you kill the Elders to have him replace either Bastila or HK-47. If you recruit him the first way, he will be in the party screen, but you cannot deploy him, making it impossible to use him as a companion. The second option didn't even show up. I've tried various methods of even reinstalling it, with it being the only mod and going back to much earlier saves, and it just never worked. There's 2 5-star reviews of the mod on Deadly Stream, so maybe there have been a couple people who got it to work, but there's nothing there other than the star ratings themselves, so probably not. Unfortunately, D tier. Well, that was disappointing, so hopefully Recruit Keeper Orsaa by Jedi Archivist will turn out better. Orsaa is the Elder Rakkatan's historian and can be recruited via a new dialogue option after speaking with him twice, and replaces T3M4. He's a soldier with a lot of dexterity and a lot of constitution, but has limited access to feats on top of not being good at any skills, but that's not a big deal at all considering the game is almost over at this point. He has a little bit of dialogue, but it's all muted on top of a new portrait, but that's it. But you know what? I like his style, those bouncy eyes, the elders are cool. I like his funny run, so C tier. Recruit Bendak by No Name 35 lets you recruit the one and only Bendak Starkiller in place of Juhani. Or like a clone of him, because the companion you're given is separate from the one already in the game, but I guess that's for the best since now you can still complete Bendak's bounty quest. His portrait is just Karth's for some reason. I would have even preferred a blank one like LD's though, because now having both him and Karth in your party is pretty confusing. And all his combat voice lines are those of other Mandalorian NPCs. Anyways, Bendak is way too overpowered, especially since you get him immediately on Terrace just by talking to him. He's a soldier class, but he comes at level 12, has insane stats and specialization and proficiency in all weapons and equipment, which includes things like lightsabers and implants. Having Bendak in my party allowed me to absolutely blitz through all of Terrace, as he remains strong throughout the entire mid-game as well. I don't know if I have footage of it, but strangely he will constantly force you into conversation with him, which definitely got annoying after the first 5 times it happened. This is something that happens with a few other companion mods, and it's pretty frustrating. He can't be used to rescue the crew in the Leviathan, nor is he involved in the Rakkatan Temple. What else? His dialogue is the exact same as base game Bendak. You can even initiate the duel on Terrace by speaking with him, but I don't recommend you do this as it bugs him out as a companion. He just leaves. And yeah, he's really fun to use on Terrace, but that's it. C tier. Recruit Master Vandar by Jedi Archivist allows everyone's favorite, third favorite frogman to be recruited here in place of T3M4. Master Vandar's character model doesn't allow for some combat animations, making him look frozen during some attacks in combat, so we'll be throwing in the Yoda animation fix for KOTOR by Jonathan 7 as well. Oh wait, it doesn't matter anyways, since he can't use any weapons other than blaster rifles or heavy weapons, and that's only if you give him the proficiency feats. He can't even use any armor or implants without feats, and no matter what, he cannot wear any Jedi robes, any headgear, armbands, belts, or glove. And he can't even use any aid items like medpacks. Why? He can be used on the Leviathan, but he just does and says what T3 would, and I guess has a few lines of muted dialogue. Low C tier, and that's being very generous. Recruitable Red Hawk, created by Red Hawk and re-uploaded by Jump Station Z, adds the author's OC as a companion that can be acquired on Manan just by speaking with her, and she can replace anyone in your party you choose other than Bastila, Karth, and Jolee. I chose Candrass for this. She uses one of the player character models just with redder hair, I believe, and presumably the portrait too, but in my game it was overridden by Vandar's, so that's just an educated guess. Just like Bendak, she joins at level 12, and her stats, feats, and equipment, which are all limited to only her use and yours, are absolutely absurd. Needless to say, she is completely busted. Just look at those stats. Red Hawk also comes with her own quest that is started by recruiting her and is resolved towards the end of the game at the Rakkatan Temple, where she reveals she's a time traveler or something and just dips back to her own time period, leaving your party permanently and bringing back the previously replaced companion. She can be used to rescue the party on the Leviathan, but it's just as whoever character she's replacing, so for me it was Candrass, naked in the med bay and all. I can appreciate the effort put into this mod, and while there are a few much better ones on this list, it still deserves a respectable high B tier. Recruitable Shasa by Hando Kinrao is a pretty fun one, if not just because I personally like the character of Shasa and getting to play as a Selkath. She's the missing Selkath who was being trained by the Sith on Manan, that in the base game you can either kill or convince to leave the Sith. With this mod, you can recruit her and she'll replace Mission, unfortunately having her replace the Twi'lek's part in Griff's quest as well. Shasa is probably the most balanced of the companions so far, with her being a Jedi Sentinel that leans more towards being a bruiser than a Force caster, though she does have an extra weapon focus in blaster pistols, no doubt in reference to her wielding one in the base game. The most OP thing about her being the really strong sword she comes with. She does have some animation problems, for example, when she ignites a lightsaber, she just kind of stands there for a second, as well as her force powers coming from her feet, but neither of these are crazy impactful. She can be used on the Leviathan, but it's just as mission, so no new content there. Shasa also takes mission's place on the unknown planet, getting killed by Zalbar and all that. I personally like this mod. I have a lot of nostalgia with it, having used it years ago when I was a kid, but objectively, it's just a C tier. Recruit Selven, again by Jedi Archivist. Yes, I know, another base game character. Don't worry, the next one will be original and higher quality. I promise. I'm just trying to get the bulk of these types of companion mods out of the way here. Lets you recruit the infamous Teresian assassin Selven, and in place of Juhani. This mod is extremely similar to Bendak's, as it allows you to immediately recruit her just by talking with her, and she comes at a high level, this time 10 instead of Bendak's 12. She is a soldier and even has the proficiency all feat, allowing her to wield and wear nearly anything she wants. She'll help carry you through Terrace, though not quite as easily as Bendak, as well as annoy you by randomly forcing you into conversation. She also has some unvoiced dialogue, but not much more than most. She'll go into how she assassinated the Olgo family, which is what led to a bounty getting put on her in the base game. She can't be used during the Leviathan attack, nor the Rakatan Temple, so other than her dialogue, there's not much added content. C tier. Recruitable Maxis 1.5 by Darth Revan 101 is probably the second most famous original character recruitment mod for KOTOR, so I'm excited to finally play it in its entirety. The mod is actually an expansion on the very first mod the creator made, simply titled Tatooine Merchant and Quest, which added a new merchant to Tatooine named Maxis with, you guessed it, a quest. This newer mod makes him recruitable and expands upon his story quite a bit. While you first encounter Maxis himself on Tatooine, the mod actually starts on Terrace, where you'll meet a Rodian member of the Glish family, who is a family of bounty hunters similar to the Zug brothers in KOTOR 2. But instead of being Duros, they're all Rodians. You'll also encounter another Glish brother a couple times, actually, which I think might be a bug or oversight, on Dantooine, hunting the one and only legendary albino Cathound. Encountering one of them starts the quest The Glish Family, introducing you to the main antagonist of the mod very early on. Maxis can be found in the docking bay of Anchorhead with his little shop where he sells some crazy overpowered Jedi stuff, and even a couple new items, new robes, and a new lightsaber crystal. The mod is full of new items like this. The mod has very little voice acting and uses the base game alien dialogue for each character. Most of the lines are accidentally muted, and Max's lips don't move for a lot of it. I just thought I'd note that. Anyways, he needs help getting off Tatooine, and he can't get off because a Glish brother and his Trandoshan bodyguard took his datapad he needs to get off planet, or something like that. So after some aggressive negotiations, you get him his datapad back, and he goes to Suvam Tan, who just happens to be a mutual friend, so he can hide there and wait for this whole killing a major member of a crime family thing to blow over. You can recruit him because he misses being an explorer or something, and you actually sell T3 to Suvam, making T3 stay in Yavin Station for you to come and visit whenever you want, even if he's not in your party. It's really cool. And it's, I believe, the only one of these companion mods that has a proper sort of replacement send-off for your old companion, so that's pretty cool. Maxis comes as a very basic bare-bones soldier, with little feats or skills making him not very good as a companion, actually. Despite his lackluster combat prowess, however, he truly feels like a fully integrated companion, with a quest-related dialogue chain that expands the higher level you get, and has commentary about each planet, butts in to talk about certain conversations and cutscenes like the base game companions, and can even be asked about the Gizka and Stowaway. He can also be asked about his time on Nar Shaddaa, which is just full of KOTOR 2 references. Maxis can be used during the Leviathan attack, and while it's a bit buggy, has completely new and unique dialogue, and an adjusted scenario with the droid T3 is typically paired with to fit Maxis instead. While you complete the main story, you'll run into Morgalish on Kashyyyk, on Manan, and on Korriban, and eventually trigger a cutscene and ambush on Tatooine, revealing the leader of the Glish family. You'll finally confront her and a couple more Glish on the unknown planet in a stupidly difficult fight. Maxis can be turned into either a Jedi Guardian or dark side servant to the player when you progress far enough into his personal quest. I won't go into specifics, but it involves an ancient Sith holocron, some uniquely textured enemies, and a complete overhaul for Max's dialogue and portrait depending on which path down the Force you take him. Whether he's light or dark also changes what he'll do depending on whether you join Bastila or stay with the Republic. As a Dark Jedi, he's your servant, and will naturally join you if you join Bastila or not, and even shows up in the dark side ending cutscene. But if he never turns to the dark side, then he will turn on you along with half your party when joining Bastila, forcing you to kill him. There's a lot of content that I skimmed over that I recommend you check out yourself if you plan on playing KOTOR yourself anytime soon, as well as quite a few bugs and oversights, but nothing I found has been even close to game breaking. Maxis is the closest so far to feeling like a fully fleshed out new companion to the game, and is going to be very hard to top. Recruitable Maxis is our first S tier. Okay, quick intermission here. Hey, how you holding up? That Maxis one was real cool, wasn't it? But you know what else would be cool? If you subscribed. I'm currently trying to get to 1,000 so I can monetize my videos, which would go a long way into motivating me to make more and better and faster. So again, if you're enjoying yourself on this video and you want to see more in the future, then please like and subscribe. Thank you. Next mod. Recruit Joran Skorm by Frizz is unfortunately broken, or at least I couldn't get it to work. He's a standard Jedi Consular companion that's supposed to join you on Terrace after telling the Duros guy you saved that you're glad to help. He spawns, and he has plenty of muted dialogue to spat at you, but will not join you. I've tried leaving the apartment, starting a new game, but nothing works, making Joran our second D tier. Recruit Nikos by Master Zionosis adds a new light side aligned Dark Jedi companion to replace, you guessed it, Juhani, and can be recruited on Tatooine. Oh, never mind. It's broken. Yeah, he's supposed to appear on Tatooine, but I scoured the whole planet on a fresh playthrough with only this mod, and he never appeared anywhere, which was a huge disappointment. In the README file, the author describes being unable to make Nikos spawn and claims that they think they fixed it, but it just hasn't been tested yet. And no, I don't think it's fixed. D tier. Recruit Belaya by Darth Balor has got to be the biggest slap in the face to Juhani, as not only to like 99% of these mods does she get replaced, but by just another Jedi Guardian and her best friend. Belaya can be found as she is in the base game on Korriban, but instead of being forced to kill her, if your main character is dark aligned, then you can recruit her. She's basically just Juhani, but with proficiency all, so she can equip almost anything. Her appearance is the exact same as Selven, another character whose mod also replaced Juhani and had proficiency all, funnily enough. But unlike Selven, she has zero new dialogue past her initial recruitment. She also doesn't have any inclusion in the Leviathan attack, nor the Rakatan Temple, so the only real reason to recruit her would be to have a slightly stronger Juhani, C tier. Recruit Elmar Jedi Knight by Elmar 1-8 adds not one but two original companions in Elmar and his apprentice Malthus. Let's go over the titular character first. Elmar is a pretty standard Jedi Guardian whose model is that of the Mullet Man player character but with an added beard. He is recruited early on Dantooine and replaces Juhani. He and Malthus, as we'll see later, are actually fully voiced but do not have lip syncing, making their dialogue appear a bit strange. Elmar can be asked a little about his past, but eventually can be asked about his former Padawan Malthus, who fell to the dark side and currently resides on Korriban, leading Ellie to request to go there and look for him. You need to trigger this dialogue in Dresh Day, or else Malthus will not spawn. But once you do, you can talk to him leading to a fight, leading to the option to recruit him in place of HK-47. Malthus is another very standard Jedi Guardian companion with little dialogue, and his model is just that of the regular Dark Jedi in-game. Neither companions can be used on the Leviathan nor the Rakatan Temple, which is definitely pretty disappointing considering this mod seems like it would include them. I also ran into a pretty mod-breaking bug, where after speaking with Ajunta Pall's spirit, Malthus and Elmar just refused to follow me. Like they were still my companions and I could control them, but they just refused to follow me anywhere. This isn't a huge deal as you could just reload an earlier save and avoid it, but it could appear in other areas in the game that I didn't encounter myself, so keep that in mind. If not for that bug, I might have given this mod a low B tier, but I just can't in good conscience anymore, so it gets a high C tier. Recruit Arren Kae by Queen of Night is one that surprised me in more good ways than bad. She replaces Juhani and spawns after Belaya storms out of the Jedi Enclave, allowing you to either recruit her or kill her if you really want to, I guess. For those who don't know, but I warned you about spoilers, in KOTOR 1 you are Revan, and Arren Kae is all but flat out said to be Krea's alias when she was in the Jedi Order in KOTOR 2. Arren used to mentor Revan before the events of the games, so you, the amnesiac Revan, have several dialogue chains where you can mention how she looks familiar, or you feel like you know her from somewhere but can't figure it out. She, of course, remembers who you are and knows who you really are, but doesn't reveal it. She essentially serves as a fun what-if companion from an already beloved character in the series. Arren doesn't have any voice lines, all of her dialogue is muted, and the subtitles in this mod are really bad, like clearly run through some type of bootleg Google Translate or something. I won't give the mod too much flack for it. English is definitely not the creator's first language. One peep at the description of Arren Kae's unique robes and the fact that the mod accidentally changes some of the game's subtitles will spell that out. She comes at level 7, I believe, and as a Jedi Consular. Initially, her stats and feats may seem more suited to that of a Guardian, with things like Master 2-weapon fighting and Sneak Attack level 2 for some reason, but any thoughts of making her a frontline fighter go out the window once you look at her atrociously bad HP count. This old lady is built like a feather, like getting killed by a regular Cath Hound bad. She has a little bit put into her skills, but she only gets 1 skill point per level, so any hopes of making her a skill monkey leave there. So Arren isn't the strongest companion, but can cook a little later in the game with feats like Blaster Bolt deflection and toughness, but still I wouldn't say she's much better than any of the base game Jedi companions. She does have quite a bit of dialogue though. It's not much, but it's more than most here. While she can't be used on the Leviathan, Arren can be asked about each planet just like the base game companions, and the Gizka problem on the ship, on top of also having quite a bit of dialogue once you discover your previous identity of Revan. With her, of course, revealing she knew the whole time and pledging to follow you with her Sith on Malachor 5 if you reclaim the title of Dark Lord of the Sith. All of Juhani's button dialogue are removed, and a few are replaced with new dialogue from Arren, which isn't much more lines, but it's something most of these mods don't do. If you join Bastila during the Rakatan Temple part, Arren will actually appear afterwards, approve of your actions, and leave your party for the remainder of the game to prepare her forces on Malachor 5, only to return as a member of the audience during the Dark Side ending cutscene. Like I said before, this mod surprised me, and if it was voiced or at the very least grammar checked by a fluent English speaker. It might even be A tier, but as it is now, I'll put it in mid B tier. Recruit Ancient Droid mod by Jedi Archivist lets you replace T3M4 with the Selkath sounding Recon droid you meet in the ruins of Dantooine. You can recruit him after retrieving the first star map, and despite speaking in an alien language has completely muted dialogue. He can be asked questions about the Starforge and the builders, but just like in the base game, he doesn't have much useful information to give. His class is Combat Droid, and he's legitimately awful, coming at a whopping level 12 with basically no good feats, skills, or stats, making him an infinitely worse version of HK-47, who himself is already the worst companion in the base game gameplay-wise. Similarly to Master Vandar, he can be used in place of T3M4 on the Leviathan with 0 changes, and that's it. Other than the cool character model and funny running animations when he's running to something you've selected, there's no reason to use him. C tier. Darth Brigan Recruitment by Tamer Bill adds a mysterious new sneaky dark Jedi companion in place of Juhani that is first encountered on Kashyyyk when fighting the Ritual Beast. Brigan comes out of stealth and assists you in fighting the Tyranitech, giving you a datapad afterwards telling you to meet him on the Yavin station. So, you do that, and you have the choice to recruit him. He doesn't have much story, at all, nor any dialogue as a companion due to this mod technically being in beta phase, similarly to Revan's Choice, and because it's been years since its release, I doubt it's getting finished. What we have now, though, is an admittedly really interesting companion gameplay-wise. So his whole thing is being stealthy and being lucky, aka crits and sneak attacks. He comes with well-balanced stats, decent feats including sneak attack level 3 and a unique one just for him, pretty good skills in demolitions, awareness, and stealth, but who cares about stealth, as well as new items like a unique assassin pistol, a lightsaber crystal that increases crit chance and damage in exchange for 1 less attack, a energy defense armband, and recolored armor that despite not being robes or clothing can be used with all force powers, all of which besides the armband are fully upgradable. All of these things lead toward Brigan being a really fun companion to use and one of the most unique ones to control. He can't be used on the Leviathan or the Rakatan Temple, and he doesn't have any dialogue post-recruitment, so I can't put him any higher than low B tier. Really a shame this mod never got finished. Recruit Uthar Wynn by Crypto allows you to recruit the headmaster of the Sith Academy if you finish the planet by signing with him and not ratting out his double cross to Yuthura, which as you'll know in the base game is the only way to keep him alive. To recruit him, just speak to him in the academy, and he comes as a level 1 Jedi Guardian with well-balanced stats, meaning he's completely customizable, more than any other companion in the game. Despite the dialogue stating that you're giving away Juhani to lead the Sith Academy in Uthar's place, for some reason, you can still recruit him if Juhani is dead. He doesn't have any post-recruitment dialogue, and no involvement in the Leviathan attack nor the Rakatan Temple. Maybe he would be usable in those if Juhani was alive when you recruited him, but even then I doubt it would change anything from the base game like Vandar and the Ancient Droid. But if you want to replace your Jedi Guardian companion with, I guess, a slightly better Jedi Guardian companion, this mod is for you. C tier. Knight of Alderaan by Jedi Master 76 is another mod in the beta phase, but it has slightly more content than the others. There were plans to add more questlines spanning from Terrace to the endgame, a new Sith tomb on Korriban, several new characters with unique designs and voice acting, and even a new planet to explore, but as it is now, it's really just a new companion with a few smaller things outside his story. It's possible a lot of that stuff is in the mod, but just unobtainable without cheating due to bugs. For example, there's a new dialogue option with Galen lore that I assume would have allowed us to visit the new Sith tomb, but there's no way to progress there as far as I'm aware in the state that the mod is right now. Right off the bat, once landing on Dantooine, you'll realize some NPC changes with a couple of Jedi having new names and looks, Belaya and Dorak wearing civilian clothes for some reason, and a couple new NPCs to talk to in the courtyard. A Jedi Knight who's been hunting the Mandalorian raiders, and another guy who I guess he's just kind of there. I don't really know what he does. Also, Sharuk has lightsabers now and drops some more stuff, so that's cool. Not sure why. Nearby the ruins, though, is where we'll run into Zane, a descendant from a rich family on Alderaan, who's currently in hiding from the Jedi Enclave because he's wanted for killing a Jedi. We don't ever learn more information about this, and his quest log doesn't go away. After beating the crap out of him and deciding to recruit him instead of killing him, he'll join our party in place of T3, and good grief, what is with these mods only allowing the new companions to use heavy weapons? He's a scout and he's really bad. He's missing a lot of feats. He makes a decent skill monkey, but that's about it. Ignoring the disappointment that's him as a playable character, once we finish exploring the Dantooine ruins and are sent on our way to collect the other star maps, we can talk to Master Vrook about Zane, in which we can either convince him that things are all good and this wanted man is just with us now, he's good now, or we can kill them. Yes, we can kill the Jedi Council and every other Jedi inside of the Enclave. Except Jar, he's bugged. He's kind of starts chilling after a while. Other than the uniquely named and buffed lightsabers that the council members drop and the EXP, there's no real good reason to do this, and Vandar even shows up later in the game anyways, despite being gutted, so I wouldn't recommend it. Plus, the council is super strong. I had to run away and lure them out one by one in order to take them out. Zane can be asked about each planet, the Stowaway, the Gizka infestation, but unfortunately doesn't have any button dialogue and instead just speaks like T3 and 4. So, there's just a few more NPCs that have been added. One is on the Unknown World. He's like a formal Jedi Admiral guy who fought with you during the Mandalorian Wars and tries to kill you, but he's immune to dying, so it's best to just avoid talking to him at all. Bullock from Dantooine is on Manan, and him and another Twi'lek Jedi need your help to find some Dark Jedi who also fought in the Mandalorian Wars. They say to search the hotel, but there's nothing there. He's in some hallway on the other side of the map. You're forced to kill him, and that's the quest. This mod is quite disappointing as the README file promises a lot more content, but it can be chalked up to being that the mod was cancelled before everything in the README was made, and they just released a text with the mod as is. Zane can be used on the Leviathan, but just as T3 and 4, nothing new there. Knight of Alderaan is fine. It sucks I never got past the beta, but what are you gonna do? C tier. The redemption of Yuthura Ban by Jimbo32 lets us finally add the redeemed Yuthura Ban to our party, a character who many people think should have been a companion in the base game. To recruit her, just speak to her on Dantooine, after redeeming her on Korriban, and of course before Dantooine gets bombarded. Her master will button and interrupt with muted dialogue telling Yuthura she can join us on our journey, replacing Juhani, who, if alive, will actually stay in the Jedi Enclave to resume her studies, which seems nice until you realize you're now dooming her to the eventual Sith bombardment. She comes as a level 6 Jedi Guardian just like Juhani. She even has her Force camouflage ability for some reason, and kind of serves as a slightly better version of her, mostly due to her new equipment. She comes with new robes exclusive to her, as well as a couple new lightsabers that have unique in-game models that look quite cool, though only one of them has any sort of buff to it. All of which can be upgraded. The robes go from good to the best in the game when upgraded. It's kind of ridiculous. She also gifts you a new set of robes she made that are really good, even better than the Queldroma robes. So if your character is light side, since you need to be in order to wear them, they are great and they look great too. Same with Yuthura's robes. I should also mention that Yuthura has been redesigned to have lighter colors and just overall look more Jedi-like, which is nice. She doesn't have any new dialogue when she's recruited. She chuckles about calling you her friend, followed by a dismissal line, because the only response option is never mind. And it's all voiced with the voice files from the base game, which is better than nothing, I suppose. She can be used on the Leviathan, but it's a 1-for-1 with how Juhani does it. The only difference is some now muted dialogue on the Ebon Hawk beforehand. It's new. She's also incorporated into the Rakatan Temple in place of Juhani. There's no new dialogue, but they get rid of any leftover ones where Juhani talks or is mentioned to avoid breaking immersion. Overall, this mod is pretty cool with some new items or reskin for Yuthura, and small but nice changes to the main story events to better accommodate for her. B tier. Recruit Ajunta Pall by Lord Deathray should let you recruit the very first Sith Lord himself, Ajunta Pall, or his ghost at least, and in place of Juhani. And you can, but you can't do anything once you do, as you're locked in the room. The mod essentially gives you a clone of Ajunta Pall with crazy stats but sucky force powers, leaving the original there presumably so you can finish the quest. But it's bugged. You can't progress the quest and it keeps forcing you out of conversation. And even does this if you try to progress the quest before recruiting Ajunta. And because you can't progress through the quest, you can't leave the room, which will remain permanently locked. Ajunta has reused dialogue from the base game as a companion, and that's it. D tier. Mekel Recruitment mod by Tanesh is one I remember fondly of playing with when I was a kid, so let's see if I was onto something a decade ago. When you rescue Mekel in the tomb of a Twi'lek horde, there's now a new dialogue option that, when progressed through, gives you the option to agree to meet up with him at the Drush Day Cantina. By the way, I should mention that all the dialogue in this mod is unvoiced. Not a huge deal, but it needs to be mentioned. Now, Mekel replaces Zalbar. It's not really explained exactly what happens to Zalbar, he kinda just gets booted off. Mission even has a banter conversation with Mekel where she gets all mad about it. But anyways, because Zalbar is required for the whole Kashyyyk main quest lines, Mekel cannot be recruited until you solve the whole Freyr versus Chundar struggle there. But once you do, you can just speak to Mekel to recruit him, or kill him. That's an option too, I guess. He comes with some unique robes called Frida Nat's robes, and they're really good. He got them from a friend we'll hear about later. He's a Dark Aligned Jedi Guardian that comes at level 5, making him very customizable. He can be asked about things like the Gizka problem, or for information on the current planet, but also has banter conversations with supposedly every other companion in the game, but I wasn't able to get all of them to trigger. Some, or at least Candaris's, actually change slightly depending on whether or not your previous identity as Revan has been revealed. I have not found any butt-in dialogue on any planet, but all of Zalbar's seem to have been removed, so I don't need to worry about him randomly roaring. Mekel has a personal quest where he talks about himself and opens up more over the course of the game as you collect the star maps. It starts with him being very defensive when it comes to his family, but eventually opening up, explaining how his brother died in the tomb of Nagaseto as a student on Korriban, and his sister died in a flying accident due to faulty repairs on her ship. He'll then talk about an explorer friend he had who warned him about the dark side, a very Jedi-like thing for someone he says acted very non-Jedi-like most of the time. This is when you get a rough-cut Upari amulet, which can be used to upgrade a lightsaber, which I may be wrong about this, but is actually just an unused crystal that's technically in the base game files. Again, I could be wrong about this. He'll then talk about how his siblings died and how he ended up at the academy, eventually telling you about his explorer friend who discovered lightsaber crystals called life crystals, created through reflecting your own life force into a kyber crystal or something like that, making the crystal color and properties unique to the creator. He'll then give you 2 very strong lightsabers with new blade colors, one of them created and named after his friend. His second to last conversation is after your identity is revealed, where he'll suggest you reclaim your title as Dark Lord. Mekel may not be a Sith, but he's still a Dark Aligned Force user after all. Afterwards, giving you one last life crystal and powered lightsaber that is the strongest by far with a really unique multicolored blade. His final conversation is after you decide whether or not to join Bastila. If you don't, he'll be disappointed in the fact that you decided against reclaiming your old identity, but understands why you didn't and still agrees to follow you to the end, as either way Malak needs to be stopped. And the ending cutscene is rescripted to avoid Mekel roaring like Zalbar, instead of lingering on T3 a bit longer to avoid breaking immersion. If you did join Bastila, however, he'll greatly approve, refer to you from then on as Master, and even kill mission for you in place of Zalbar, no mind control needed. Well, that's his personal quest out of the way, so what about the main story? Well, for the Leviathan, he cannot be used, but it is addressed through dialogue why. Your character suggests Mekel pretend like he betrayed us and then break us out once an opening makes itself available. Carth and Bastila shut this down immediately though, as it's a stupid plan, and that's that. The real reason why he can't be used though is probably because the modder would have to code in a whole new scenario for him, as Zalbar, the companion he replaced, cannot be used on the Leviathan either. What else? He can be mentioned before the Rakatan Temple section to Jolie. You can ask Jolie why he didn't bring Mekel to help, and Jolie just says it's because he's not trustworthy, which I guess is fair. Overall, this mod is really great. The only real criticisms I have are the lack of voice acting, new NPCs, or really a good reason as to what happened to Zalbar. If the mod had even 2 out of 3 of these, I'd probably put it in S tier, but because it doesn't, it goes in a very respectable A tier. Recruitable K by Aneri Forge is our last mod we'll be covering due to it being the most acclaimed recruitment mod for KOTOR. The mod technically starts on Dantooine. There's a new Twi'lek Jedi Master, you can ask a few basic questions, and another Jedi who just says one line, but it's newly voiced and sounds pretty good, so here's hoping for some more voice acting like that.
Sorry, I'm very busy right now.
Maxis and Revan's Choice both had a teensy bit of voice acting each. Take a listen.
Bastila, Carth, and the crew have been taken prisoner, as you ordered, Commander.
Finally you're here. What took you so long? What's your account, Sergeant?
But this last mod claims to have a ton of it, and on top of a couple of bug fix patches, re-recorded voice acting with higher quality sound and performances, I'm excited to see that, or hear that, more like. Kay replaces Juhani, and you don't need to kill Juhani to have Kay override her as a companion, though it'll never be explained why she's just gone now, unlike Uthur's redemption. On top of Juhani's quest never going away, so that's kind of annoying. Kay can be recruited on Tatooine, spawning after you defeat the Dark Jedi Trio and Anchorhead. She's there on a mission for the Jedi Council to investigate Circa in the city, but joins you as she sees her current mission as pretty useless and unfulfilling. Her appearance is that of one of the female player character options, but with brown hair instead of black, and brighter, bluer eyes. She also has more light side points than any other companion in the game, even more so than Carth and Mission. Kay is a very standard Jedi Sentinel that comes at level 5, making her very customizable, but again, she's just a Sentinel, so don't expect her to excel at anything. I got some comments on my last KOTOR video complaining because I kinda trashed on Jedi Sentinel as a class, calling it the worst Jedi one, and playing with Sentinel companions for this video only further cemented in my mind that this class is just not good. At least not even close to the same level as Consular or Guardian. Anyways, Kay's voice sounds really good, and the sarcastic, sometimes flirty banter between her and the protagonist is fun.
A personal question? What kind of a personal question? Now there's a serious question. Is that all, or can we get going? You say joke, I say sloppy come on.
My only complaint here is that her voice is really quiet. Like quieter than 99% of the characters' voices in game.
Wait, you can't go in there alone.
We've had a vision. The temple is far too dangerous. We can't let you face it alone.
Your destiny, maybe the fate of the entire galaxy, could be forever changed inside that temple.
Jolie speaks for both of us. If you enter that temple, we're going with you.
I had to eventually turn the game's music down in settings a ton just to be able to hear her coherently. Kay's dialogue works just like Juhani's, where more conversations are unlocked the more your player character levels up. She initially asks you about what our mission is exactly, before eventually talking about her sister, who's also a Jedi, someone she sees as a sort of ideal Jedi. Multiple level ups later, and she'll request that you take her to Dantooine to see her old master, the Twi'lek Jedi we met on our own earlier. Despite this, they don't say anything to each other once you bring them together, but she does talk with the voiced male Jedi who gives her a data pad with a voiced message from her sister.
Hey Kay, it's Leah. I'm sorry I missed you at the Enclave, but there are pressing matters to attend to and I need your help. A few days ago, the Enclave was raided by a group of Mandalorian thugs led by a guy named Arren. They just tore right on in and snatched a bunch of stuff, including several TIE hologrons. Luckily, no one was seriously hurt in the raid, but we have to get those hologrons back. I've been sent to recover one of them, but I'm pretty sure Arren took one to Tatooine. I know it's asking a lot, but could you please look into it? I'll owe you big time.
Well, it seems we're going back to Tatooine. On Tatooine, there will now be a Mandalorian there who knows the location of the holocron. However...
Where is he?
Not here. You'll have to work a little harder if you want that holocron back.
Okay, fine. What do I have to do?
Bring me 10 ray plates, and I'll tell you where he is.
Are you joking?
Only if you don't want that holocron. Bring me the plates, and we'll have a deal.
Fine. I'll be back when I have 10.
So yeah, after getting 10 raid plates and bringing them to him, he doesn't take them. We keep them for some reason. I don't know why. He tells us we'll find our target on Manan, so we head there. I started talking to the zookeeper in the docks initially just to sell the Gizka on my ship, but was surprised to find out I can ask him about the Mandalorian we're hunting, stating that he's just waiting for us at the end of the corridor. He is a piece of work. Not to fight, mind you, he's pretty easy. He's just a jerk. The holocron seems pretty personal to Kay for some reason, but it's just revealed to not have any special connection to her. She was just passionate about fulfilling her sister's request and not letting any knowledge of it get into the hands of enemies of the Jedi. She suggests we take the holocron back to Dantooine, so heading there and speaking to the Twi'lek lets us turn it in and get a couple new items. Kay is thankful and promises to stick with us through our mission. So the items we get are Kay's robes and Kay's lightsaber. Both are restricted to light side characters. Kay's robes are better than Master robes, but not as good as Cold Drummer robes, but can be upgraded to be exceptional. And her lightsaber is just a stronger version of a standard lightsaber with a unique hilt too, which is cool. They're nice rewards for the quote-unquote end of the quest, I say in quotes because the mission log doesn't disappear yet, that aren't too overpowered and feel rewarding to get. Kay still has more dialogue though, as she can ask you why you were the one entrusted by the council for this mission and not anyone else, and when we answer that it was just something the council willed, and then telling her how we were a Republic soldier on the Ender Spire that escaped Terrace, this causes her to be taken aback, clearly now recognizing us as the amnesiac Revan, but of course not revealing this fact. So for the Leviathan, Kay doesn't have any involvement whatsoever, which was super disappointing to find out. She does have dialogue afterwards about you being Revan that changes depending on whether you're light or dark aligned.
As far as I'm concerned, you've proven that you're no longer the Dark Lord. You've really kept true to the Jedi teachings, and I'm proud of you for that. You've really become a great Jedi. You're already well on your way. As far as I'm concerned, you've proven that you're no longer the Dark Lord. I'm just worried you're headed down the same path. Just remember what you're fighting for.
As for the Rakatan Temple, Kay completely replaces Juhani with revoiced lines and restructured conversations a bit so she fits much better into the section. Being a Jedi, she of course turns on you if you join Bastila, forcing you to kill her, but stays and continues to have a bit more lines when meeting up with the crew afterwards. So let's finish up Kay. 99% of Juhani's butt-in dialogue has been either completely rewritten or at least revoiced with Kay. Like, I'll show you here.
He feels this is a way to get back at the Metales, a way to get even for the disappearance of my brother Cassius.
We should tell the Jedi Council about this. This world is more amazing than I ever expected. It's a shame Zalbar is... We could look into this to calm the Selkath's fears, although I don't think the Republic would be involved in anything illegal.
I lied, I threatened, I promised, and I brought the most promising youth of the Fish People to the Sith.
So you tricked them into going into the Sith base. Then what did you do to them?
And there I left them.
If you try and turn me in for lying, I'm making sure you come with me.
Well, I guess we know what your motivation is. I don't think stacking the deck is the right way to win this trial.
Do you know how many Sith there are in Dresde?
But is this a raffle? How many guesses do we get?
Don't provoke them, Karth.
If they don't, however, I certainly wouldn't admit them just for that accomplishment.
How cruel. Not to mention inefficient. Go figure a Sith would do things the hard way. Right. Servants.
I've done some... I've hurt a lot of people.
The door is always open. You can always go back.
I am disturbed again. A human.
A ghost? No, a spirit. Be careful. Whoever this man was obviously corrupted by the dark side.
Overall, Kay is just a really cool mod, and quite possibly the most polished companion mod on this list. My main criticism is just that her voice is so dang quiet. The other newly voiced characters in this mod sound fine volume-wise, but she specifically is so hard to hear. And it really sucks being her dialogue is great and the voice that I believe is done by the mod creator themselves. If her dialogue was upped in volume, she could be included in the Leviathan section, and Juhani just wasn't in the base game, then I could genuinely see her being a regular companion for KOTOR. Obviously this mod is S tier, but deciding whether or not to put it above Maxis was tough. But ultimately, I did decide to go with Maxis being our number one. If Kay's dialogue was louder, I could genuinely see it being number one instead, but it's not. And Maxis just has so much cool content, even more so than Kay. So while there's far less voice acting in it, it still beats out Kay for me. Next time you're playing KOTOR though, I highly recommend you use both of these mods, as yes, they are compatible due to Recruit Maxis coming with a compatibility patch for Recruitable K, which is awesome to see. So there we have it. Here's the list. Feel free to screenshot it and make it your new desktop background. I know you really want to, I wouldn't blame you, it's quite magnificent. So as far as I'm aware, something like this for KOTOR hasn't really ever been done before, or even like a mod ranking video or general companions mod video on YouTube. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think this basically gives me the award for being the most original YouTuber of all time. So if I'm not mistaken, yeah, I think that's how that works. I'm the best one. Recording the footage of this video was both torture and super fun. Fun as in I got to test out all these really cool mods and play around with the new companions, but torture in which I was just back to back, day after day, replaying this game from the beginning, or at least from Dantooine, over and over and over and over and over and over and over, just constantly over and over again, like dozens of times. Maybe not dozens, at least like maybe 20 times, I don't know, but it really got draining. But I pushed through and I got it all done as fast as possible in like 3 weeks, I think. So let's see how long it takes to edit this thing. Yeah, as I said before, I've played with some of these mods like 10 years ago, which is crazy, by the way, to think of. Decades. Ugh. I know I've played with Mekel one before, and the Belaya one, the Shasa one, LD29, and I think I attempted to do Maxis and Red Hawk as a kid, but I couldn't figure it out since I was playing on Android and not PC, so there was no, double click installer. You had to do it all manually. Just drag and drop everything, and there's not really guides for it, so I don't know. So yeah, I'd be very interested in doing more modded KOTOR videos, maybe mod playthroughs / reviews. So like the Yavin 4 Planet mod, Brotherhood of Shadow, Zerka Commando, stuff like that. Longer mods I can kind of walk you through and review, I think would be fun. Not just KOTOR 1, KOTOR 2, 2. Maybe we could even do the KOTOR 3, the Jedi Masters mod for one of them. I don't know. Maybe we do all, maybe some, maybe none. It's really up to what you would want to see and how well this video does. So, I don't know. Let me know in the comments what kind of stuff you'd want to see. If even KOTOR at all. I don't know. Probably, if you're watching this and you got this far. Thank you for the attention on my last KOTOR video. I think right now it's my second most watched video behind my first KOTOR video, so that's cool. Sorry about the audio problems some people had on that. I'll do my best to make sure that doesn't happen again. So yeah, thank you for watching. Please subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed it, and I'll hopefully see you all in the next one. Peace.